Welcome to the MSJC Internet Authoring Videocast.
In this video, we'll be covering Module 2, Basic Communication on the Internet, Email. The objectives for our first session here are to learn how email works, understand basic email features and functions, learn about viruses, antivirus software, and spam. So we'll start by taking a look at how email works. We'll take a look at the protocols such as SMTP and POP. We'll also want to explain the roles of various devices in the use of email, including a sender's electronic device, a network, mail servers, the internet, and a receiver's electronic device. First of all, the software that requests mail delivery from the mail server to an internet device is known as a mail client software, or email program. An email address uniquely identifies an individual or organization that is connected to the internet. To route an email message to an individual, you must identify that person by his or her account name or username, and also by the name of the mail server that manages the email sent to the domain, ergo the address format used for all emails, username at domain name. Electronic mail, or email, is a form of communication in which electronic messages are created and transferred between two or more devices connected to a network. Electronic communication is one of the most popular forms of business communication, and for many people, it's the primary reason they use the internet. As shown in the graphic on your screen, email travels to their destination across the internet to the recipient's account on a mail server. For many personal and business reasons, people rely on email as an indispensable form of written communication. Similar to how web pages and files move across networks, email messages also use protocols that send and receive them on networks. The two most common protocols for sending and receiving email messages are SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and POP, the Post Office Protocol, both of which are described in the graphic on your screen. Two additional protocols, IMAP and MIME, also handle email messages. IMAP, Internet Message Access Protocol, stores mail messages on a remote server so you can view them on your device as if those messages were stored on the device. MIME, the Multi-Purpose Internet Mail Extension, specifies how to encode non-text data such as graphics and sound so that they can travel along with your email over the internet. When an email message arrives at its destination mail server, the mail server's software handles the details of distributing the message locally, in the same way that a mailroom worker opens a mailbag and places letters and packages into individual mail slots. To check for a new email message, you use an app on your internet device, which might be a desktop computer, smartphone, or a tablet, to request stored mail from the server. The software that requests mail delivery from the mail server to an internet device is known as mail client software, an email program, or an email app. There are many common features that we find in an email message. The message header contains information about the message, and the message body contains the actual message content. A signature might also appear at the bottom of the email message and contain standard information about the sender, which the recipient can use to contact the sender in a variety of ways. So in this example, you can see that in the To field, we have the person's name that we're sending the email to. Now, since this is Microsoft Outlook, what it's done is it's actually converted the email address, the username at domain name format, into a first name, last name format. And this is because it's pulling from the contacts that are used in the Outlook system. So it knows what the user's name is, first and last name, which corresponds to the email address. Underneath of the To field, we have the courtesy copy field. So a lot of times you want to send an email to somebody and have other people be able to receive that email as well. So maybe you're sending it to a colleague and you want your boss to also see that you have sent that mail to your colleague. So you might add their address in the courtesy copy field. Then underneath of that is the blind courtesy copy. That is an email address that will not be shown to the recipient of the email, but that person will also receive that email. Then we have the subject field, so it's always good to put in a nice succinct subject there so that the person that's going through their list of emails daily can quickly identify what the subject, the content of that email is going to be. In this case here, we have a Word attachment that's been attached to the document, so they'll receive the email as well as the Word document that they can then open and manipulate should they need to. And then below that would be the body area where we have the actual message that's being sent to the user, and then it also includes a signature there that identifies the user's cell phone number. Anytime that we're communicating on the internet, we should apply netiquette. So netiquette is a term that's coined from the phrase internet etiquette. It's the set of commonly accepted rules that represent proper behavior on a network. Using acronyms for commonly used phrases is fine for informal messages, but they're not acceptable in business communication. An emoticon is a group of keyword characters that, when viewed together, represent a human expression. And of course, on our smartphones today, we've got zillions of these emoticons that we can actually use. You should avoid writing your message in all capital letters because it looks like you're shouting. Use proper sentence case for all of your messages. Keep your messages simple, short, focused on their topics. You're not writing an essay. And definitely do not use the reply all feature when only the sender needs to know your response. So if somebody has sent an email out to numerous people, the courtesy copy has a lot of additional email addresses in there. If you hit reply all, everybody that's listed in the to field and the courtesy copy field are going to receive your reply. And that gets very annoying when only the person that initially sent that email out should be the one that you're responding to. Also, don't assume that everyone that you know likes to receive jokes or family pictures. Check with your recipients first. When sending messages to a large group, use the BCC field for the recipient's email address to protect their privacy and to prevent them from receiving additional responses from the people who always use reply all. So that's something you should make a note of. A lot of folks aren't familiar with that. Experience it all the time in my daily business life. So if you send out to multiple recipients in BCC and then somebody hits the reply all, only the initial sender will receive that response and not all the people listed in the BCC field. Include a descriptive subject in the subject line and a signature so the recipient knows the content of your message and how to get in touch with you. Use a spell checker. Read your message, correct any spelling or grammatical errors before sending it. Don't overuse formatting and graphics, which can make your email difficult to read. And the font that you select on your device might not be available on the recipient's device, and therefore the message might not display as you intended. So just use the default font on the system. Emails are not private. Do not divulge private or sensitive information in an email message. It's very easy for the recipient to forward your message to everyone he or she knows, even if it's by accident. Use caution when attempting sarcasm or humor in your messages, as the recipient might not appreciate the attempted humor and might misunderstand your intentions. Without the sender's body language and tone of voice, some written statements are subject to misinterpretation. Use common courtesy, politeness, and respect in all of your written correspondence. When specifying a username for your email address, select something that is appropriate for both professional and personal correspondence and clearly identifies you to recipient. Email apps Different software companies that produce web browsers might also produce companion email programs that you can use to manage your email. Some popular email apps are Gmail, Microsoft Outlook, Hotmail, Mozilla's Thunderbird, and MacMail. You can use these types of email programs to manage messages that are routed through a domain that sends email messages using the POP protocol. Messages that are routed through a domain in this way are called POP messages or POP3 messages, because that's the current version of POP. You might have multiple email programs installed on your computer. In this case, the choice of which email program to use is up to you. I recommend that you try to consolidate all of your email into a single email management system. Before you can use an email program, you must configure it to work with your email accounts. And that might be an issue in some cases, so that might force you to have more than one email client app. Common features of email apps are sending messages. A message can be queued or temporarily held with other messages and then sent when you're either exiting the program or connecting to your ISP or network, or check to see if you have received any new email. So if there's no network available to you, most applications, email applications, will hold on to them within the application and then detect when you have a connection to a network and then begin sending or receiving in that case. As far as receiving and storing messages, when your mail server receives messages for your account, those messages are held in the mail server until you ask the server to retrieve your messages. Saving old mail on the server lets you access your mail from any device that you can connect to your mail server. Google has a nice feature now where you can archive your emails, so you can clean out your inbox so that it's not so cluttered, but still have access to your old email messages. Printing a message. Most email programs will also let you print your message that you're composing or that you have received. As far as organizing your messages, some programs let you define and use a filter that moves incoming mail into a specific folder or to delete it automatically based on the content of the message. So you might look into that. You could actually base it on a user's name or a keyword that they put into the subject field. Filters are also especially useful for moving messages from certain senders into designated folders. That's one of the reasons that I encourage my students to put their course number in the subject of the emails that they're sending to me, because my system is set up to sort those into separate folders for each of the classes that I'm teaching. And then filters also can be used to sort out junk mail, or spam as we call it, unsolicited mail, which is usually advertising or selling an item or a service. We can get those automatically moved to the trash folder if we set up a filter for that. And a lot of times companies now will have those types of filters on their mail servers to automatically do that for you. When you forward a message to another recipient, a copy of the original message is sent to the new recipient that you specify without the original sender's knowledge. A quoted message is a copy of the sender's original message with your inserted comments. Replying to a message. When you reply to a message that you received, the email program creates a new message and automatically addresses it to the original sender when you select the reply option, the original sender, and all of the original to and CC recipients of that message, as we discussed previously. That occurs when you select the reply all option. Deleting a message usually is a two-step process. Temporarily deleting a message by placing it in the trash folder or marking it for deletion, and then permanently deleting the trash or marked messages for emptying the trash folder or indicating that the email program delete the messages. Most email programs will have a contacts feature in there so that you can keep track of emails, phone numbers, addresses. And so you can use the contact list to save your email addresses as other optional contact information about the people and organizations with whom you communicate. You can assign a unique name to each entry so it's easier to address your email messages. A nickname might be Mom for your mother, or Maintenance Department to represent all the employees that are working in certain part of an organization. At MSJC, we have faculty for that purpose. That sends it out to all faculty members. Here we're looking at protecting your computer from viruses. So a virus is a malicious program that can harm your device and its files. Email attachments, just like any other computer file, can contain viruses. The category of software that detects viruses and other common security threats on the internet is called an antivirus app or internet security software. A virus signature, also called a virus pattern or virus definition, is a sequence or string of characters that's always present in a particular virus. And so that's how known viruses can be detected by the antivirus software. Spam, also known as unsolicited commercial email or UCE, or junk mail, includes unwanted solicitations, advertisements, or email chain letters sent to an email address. In addition to consuming bandwidth on company networks and space on mail servers, spam distracts employees who are trying to do their jobs and requires them to spend time deleting unwanted messages. A considerable number of spam messages includes content that is offensive or misleading to its recipients. Spammers often use software robots or bots to search the internet for character strings that include the @ symbol, which is used in every email address. So as a web developer, we want to hide email addresses from those bots when we put them on a web page. And there's a way of doing that using JavaScript. One way to reduce spam is to control the exposure of your email address in places where spammers might look for them. Some individuals use multiple email addresses to reduce spam. Other approaches use one or more techniques that filter email messages based on their contents. Spam is an ongoing and serious problem. Many jurisdictions have passed laws that provide penalties for sending spam. In January 2004, the U.S. CAN-SPAN law, the law's name is an acronym for Controlling the Assault of Non-Solicited Pornography in Marketing, went into effect. The law's main provisions are as follows. Unsolicited mail messages must identify the sender, contain an accurate message subject, and a notice that the message is an advertisement or a solicitation. Make it possible for the recipient to opt out of future mailings within 10 days of receipt of the request. Include the sender's physical postal address. Prohibit the sender from selling or transferring an email address with an opt-out request to any other entity. In session 2.2 now, the objectives are that we'll have you create a Google account, configure and use Gmail to send, receive, and manage email messages, create and maintain contacts and use them to address messages, and explore Google Apps for creating, sharing, and storing. So this is the Gmail interface that you're looking at here. And if we start in the top left-hand corner, you can see the button for composing a new email, and then underneath of that, the inbox. You'd click on that to obviously view your inbox. If you click on star, then that's going to basically add that email, star to that email, so you can filter by that later on. You can also snooze emails. That's something else that you can filter for, as well as marking them important. Sent is where you're going to see, that'll be a folder that you can see all of your sent emails in. Drafts will be a folder that contains any emails that you started to send to somebody but actually haven't sent to them yet. And then also you can organize your emails by categories, so you can create folders in your categories and then add emails to that as you'd like. And then Gmail also lets you add labels. And the advantage that you have with labels is that you can add multiple labels to a single email. So if you think about it, if you're categorizing your emails based on a particular topic, sometimes that can be limiting because you might want to sort or filter for a couple of different topics and find that same email. And so you can do that by using labels. And then if you look at the list of emails there, you'll see that out to the left you have this checkbox that allows you to select the email and then perform some task on it. And then the star icon, you can just click on that to quickly star an email, and then you also have the important icon, which lets you quickly mark an email as important. Moving back up to the top middle of this image, you have a button there that allows you to show search options. And so that's how you can filter or search for a particular email that has by using a particular keyword. And then to the right of that, you see you also have a support button. When you click on that, you get the choice of help, training, updates, or sending feedback to Google. You also have the list of how many emails you're viewing on that page, and then which number you're specifically looking at or have selected. And then you can navigate to the previous and the next emails using those two arrows. And then finally you have on the far right of each email, you have the date that the email was received. Then to the right of the email list, you have several Google apps there that come with the Gmail program. So that has a calendar, you have a notes capability, you can also have tasks, so identify your daily tasks, your contacts, and then if you'd like to get more Google apps, you can click on that plus button and that will take you to the Google add-ons, or actually to the Google store, so that you can get some add-ons for the Gmail program. So the term webmail provider refers to a website that provides a free email address and features to manage, send, and receive email messages. So Gmail is a good example of that, Yahoo Mail, Hotmail. Most webmail providers also offer other web-based services, such as online file storage. An email account from a webmail provider is called webmail because you access the email account through the webmail provider's website. Two popular examples of webmail providers are Google's Gmail and Outlook.com email service from Microsoft. Before you can use Gmail, you need to create a Google account. So to create the Google account, you have to enter your information, including username and password, confirm the password, type or respond in some manner to a CAPTCHA that they'll have on the screen, and agree to the terms of service and privacy. Once you've created your Google account, you'll sign in to Google to get started. Be sure your name appears in the upper right-hand corner near the Google Apps button. Use the Google Apps button, which provides access to Google Apps such as Gmail, Maps, and so on, to get to your webmail application. When you sign into your Google account, click the Google Apps button in the upper right-hand corner. Click the Gmail icon that's on the menu to display the Gmail page. Click the Gmail button at the top of the left pane to display your inbox. In your inbox, you can send messages, receive messages, label messages, organize messages, and delete messages. To send an email message, click the Compose button to open the new message window. On the To line, type the recipient's email address. Add addresses to the CC and BCC recipients as needed. Use commas or semicolons to separate multiple email addresses. Use the Attach Files button to select a file and then click the Open button. Click the message body and type your message. Check your message for spelling and grammatical errors, and then click the Send button. To receive and open a message, click the Inbox link to check for new mail. Click the subject of an email message in the inbox to open that message. Read the message, respond to the message as needed. Click the Inbox link to close the message and return to the list of messages in the inbox. If a message includes an attachment, the attachment information appears in the message header. When you receive a message with an attached file, you can view and save the attachment for as long as you store the message. When you detach a file from an email message and save it on a disk or a drive, it is just like any other file that you save. When you delete the message, you delete the file attached to the message. To save the attachment, click the subject of the message with the attachment to open the message. Click the attachment to view it. Point to the attached file and then click the Save to Drive button. Point to the attached file and then click the Download button. The file is saved to the default Downloads folder unless you specify otherwise. Saving might vary slightly from one browser to the next. To reply to a message, open the email message, click the reply link to reply to the sender, click the Reply All link to reply to the sender and other recipients. Consider that choice, though, before you make it. And then add other recipients to the CC or BCC fields as needed, using commas between the email addresses. Edit the message as needed, and then click the Send button. To forward a message, open the email message, click the Forward link, type the email address of the intended recipient, add other recipients in the to, CC, or BCC fields as needed, separating the addresses using commas, add a message above the forwarded message, and click the Send button. To create a label, click the checkbox of the message that you want to label, click the Move To button, then click Create New. Type the name of the label in the New Label window dialog box. Click Create to assign the selected message to that label. To assign an email message to an existing label, click the checkbox of the message that you want to label, click the Move To button, then click the label name in that list that appears to assign the selected email message to the existing label. To print an email message, display the message that you want to print, click the Print All button, check the settings in the print pane to make sure that the correct printer is selected, use the settings in the print pane to change the printer, identify the pages to print, how many copies you want to print, the page orientation, or any other options available for the selected printer. Click the Print button in the print pane to print the message. To delete a message. When you don't need a message any longer, you can delete it by opening the message or selecting the message in the inbox and then clicking Delete. When you delete a message, you are simply moving it to the trash folder. If you want to remove items permanently, you can delete them from the trash folder. To delete a label, point to the label name on the left-hand side of the page to select it, and then click the arrow that appears on the right side of the label name. In the menu, click Remove Label. Click the Delete button in the window that opens, then click Delete again to confirm the deletion. Managing your Google contacts. You can add, delete, rename, or modify your contacts. To add a contact to Google Contacts, you click the Gmail link, then click Contacts in the menu to open the Google Contacts page. Click the Add New Contact button, enter the contact's first and last names, and then click the Create button. Use the fields to add the desired contact information, and then click the Save button. So far in this session, you've learned how to use email to send and receive attachments. It is often impractical to attach multiple files or large files to an email message because your mail server or the recipient's mail server might reject the message due to the number or size of its attachments. In other cases, you might need to collaborate with multiple users on a document, a workbook, or other file, or simply share the content of a document. In these situations, you can use another Google app called Google Drive to store and share access to these files with users that you specify. To use Google Drive, sign in to your Google account, click the Google Apps button, then click the Google Drive icon. Use Google Drive just like you would any other file system by creating folders, subfolders, and organizing then your files as needed into those folders or subfolders. You can upload files or folders to the Google Drive and then type the email addresses of people that you want to have access to the file or the folder. Set the Can View option, then click Send to send to people a notification that will identify them that they have access to the material that you've posted. It's important that you sign out before closing your web browser to ensure the security of your email and to prevent unauthorized access. If you're using your Google account on your personal device, you can leave your account signed in, but be sure it is password protected. To sign out of your Google account, click the Google Account button, click Sign Out, and click Remove if you're using a public computer, then click the Close button. So that's it for this lecture. Until next time, happy mailing. If you liked this video, please click the like button and leave us a comment down below. I also would appreciate it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when new videos are posted.